Soundpeats has been quite busy with a whole lot of product launches this year, and this is the latest in their lineup, the Soundpeats Life. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. These are an interesting set of earphones that are available globally, but sadly these are not available in India. Let's hope that Soundpeats returns to our shores soon. Thank you to the folk at Soundpeats for sending me this demo unit for this review, and as always, all thoughts and opinions in this review are my own. So let's jump straight into this review with their build. The unboxing of these earphones is identical to the last Soundpeats earphones that I reviewed, and it's nice to see that there's no compromise even with a slightly more budget set of earphones. You get the case with the earphones in them, small and large ear tips with the medium ones already sitting on the earphones, a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, and the literature. When you first set your eyes on the case, it looks like it's a leather one. It's got the texturing spot on, but it is a plastic case, and this texture ensures you have a good grip on the case. There's a very neat logo on the top of the case, and the rear of the case has a USB-C charging point. And when you open it, the Soundpeats name is etched into the inner upper side of the lid. There is a flush reset and sync button that you can miss at first glance. The inner part of the case has a matte finish that can pick up soft scratches in time, and the lid has a nice airy clasping sound when you close it. The earphones also come with a matte finish, giving them good grip. They have notification LEDs on them to let you know when they're connected to your phone, and the LEDs go off when you start playing back media. There is a very neatly done S logo on the upper part of the earphones, which work as the touch area for inputs. They fit comfortably in the ear but have a different kind of ear tip. The mesh is more exposed than other earphones I've tested before, which gets me concerned about them catching, holding, and getting blocked with earwax over time. If the mesh sat further recessed, I wouldn't be as concerned about this. The overall finish of the earphones and case feel rather premium for the price they're being sold at. They have an IPX4 rating, so should be fine during light rain or for working out in the gym. These come with Bluetooth version 5.2, active noise cancelling, and voice assistant support. These have an app, but Soundpeats has programmed these earphones so that you can control most of these gestures from the touch controls. A single tap on the right and left earbud lets you increase and reduce volume respectively. A double tap on the right or left lets you play, pause, or answer and end your calls. A triple tap on the right activates your voice assistant, whereas the left enters or exits game mode. Pressing and holding the right bud for 1.5 seconds will skip to the next track, and the same for the left bud will let you toggle between ANC modes. Should you receive a call you don't want to answer, pressing and holding either bud for the same duration will cancel the incoming call, and if you're on a call with someone on hold, pressing and holding either bud will transfer you to the other caller. Moving on to the app. When you open it, you see the battery percentage of the earbuds, but for some reason you don't get the reading of the case. You'll have to look at the case's LED to know what percentage it's at. The app lets you control volume, ANC modes, activate game mode. You can disable single touch functionality, which is a neat feature I like to use to avoid accidental inputs. You get 9 sound presets you can choose from, which I'll speak about in the chapter about sound, and a 9-band manual EQ you can play around with as well. Something that's quite neat is the adaptive EQ mode. You'll have to take yourself away into a quiet room to do this because it plays back different frequencies at various volumes to see how sensitive your ears are to these frequencies. Based on your results, it tweaks the tones that you aren't as sensitive to. It's a neat feature, but I wouldn't recommend treating this as a hearing test. For that, your best bet is to visit an audiologist or your ENT specialist. These do not come with an auto play and pause feature since they don't have in-ear detection. It will pause your music only if you place the earbuds in its case and close the lid. When it comes to the latency, Soundpeats claims that these are able to achieve a latency as low as 60 milliseconds when the game mode is on. With game mode on, there is a lot less lag when it comes to video consumption, but when it comes to gaming, there seems to be a slightly noticeable lag for sure. It is refined in its delivery with these earphones. These come very close to being pin sharp, but stay away from being too brittle sounding. These make it fairly easy to zone into the musician or even the vocalist or even on dialogue in any movie whenever you're consuming any media. Soundpeats claims that these can reduce noises up to 25 decibels. Now, I don't doubt that, because it does seem like they do slightly better than 25 dB, especially when you put on the correct size ear tips. So to begin with, I wasn't wearing the right size. I think they came with mediums, but I think the larges fit me slightly better than the mediums, and with that the passive isolation alone is so much better, which obviously aids the active noise cancelling to work that much better. The ANC does do a very good job with eliminating droning sounds from my fan motor above me, and also a lot of the engine noises from outside my studio. When I do have music playing, when the ANC is on, I practically can't hear anything around me, even if the music is at a much lower volume. You can toggle between the ANC modes through the app, or you can also do the same by pressing and holding the left earbud for about 1.5 seconds. These earphones come with 2 microphones per earbud, and those microphones do help with the active noise cancelling. Those same microphones do help in contributing towards the environmental noise cancelling whenever you're on a phone call. And to see how good or bad these handle that situation, well, there's really only one way to find out.
So I'm calling this is busy street where I normally do a lot of these call tests to give you an idea of how much noise these earphones are going to be battling. Today it is quite busy with a lot of traffic moving behind me, as you can see, and there is some construction work as well going on further at the back. Now these earphones do come with 2 microphones, so those 2 microphones do help with the active noise cancelling, and they do also help towards the environmental noise cancelling. So I have been playing back the audio on the camera microphone right now, and I'll switch over to the Life's microphones right about now. So this should give you an idea of how much these are actually trying to dial down when it comes to the atmosphere around. Now, something I did notice in the last Soundpeats review that I did, those earphones didn't switch between their active noise cancellation mode. So I'll check and see if this does. I'll go into the app. Now, one thing to keep in mind is I noticed as soon as I made the call, I was in the active noise cancelling mode. But as soon as the call connected, it sort of went on to the normal mode. So I can hear some stuff coming in. It is in the normal mode now. I'll switch on the ANC now. I do hear the voice telling me that ANC is coming on, and the ANC has in fact come on. The last set that I tested did not do this. Uh, I'm not sure if this algorithm will interfere with the environmental noise cancelling, but you would be the best judge for that. Now I'll switch over to the transparency mode about now. So now I can hear everything bleeding, and for that matter, I can even hear a bit of myself. So the best person to be able to judge and see how this operates, or if you're okay with how it sounds, is you, because you will be the one who decides to see whether or not your recipients will be okay with this kind of sound. And I do hope that this has given you a better understanding of these earphones, and I'll see you back at the studio.
These come with 12mm dynamic drivers, and they support SBC and AAC codecs. They also have a frequency response of as low as 20 Hz going all the way up to 20,000 Hz. Now when it comes to the volume, most other earphones that I have tested, I'm usually comfortable listening to them between about 40 and 50%. These, on the other hand, need to sit at about 60% to be equal to 50% of the others, but it's more than comfortable at 60%. Now, if I start pushing past 75 and 80%, it does start getting a little uncomfortable. It gets a little too loud, apart from getting distorted, but I'd say sitting between 45 and 60% should be fine. Now, at lower volumes, this does thin out if you go below 10%. So for lower volumes, I'd say it's comfortable to sit anywhere between 25 and 30%. In fact, it's low enough to be able to calm yourself down at the end of the day if you're winding down. Soundstage on these is similar to other TWS earphones I've reviewed. The stage comes to you from between your ears, and the phantom channel is dead center. Some tones do give you the illusion of coming from slightly out of the earphones. Now, stage does exist on a horizontal plane, but there is good spatial separation between left and right channels. Now, when it comes to imaging, don't expect hi-fi levels of detail recovery from these. They weren't built to do that. But having said that, instruments and vocals do exist on their own plane without merging into each other, making it that much easier to zone into the nuances that you'd like to enjoy. High frequencies are a bit elevated in the upper range, so you tend to hear a lot more air from some vocalists. but these do stay clear of being sibilant. This range does come at you without too much excitement, which keeps your ears clear of fatigue. Instruments stay well defined and have a relaxed approach in their delivery in this range. Some manufacturers make this range a little too aggressive so as to emulate detail. These have a more natural approach towards this range. Cymbals don't sound recessed or flat, and they come to you with good resolution. Listening to the Eagles, take it easy. At no point do the hi-hat or cymbals snap at you, making this track sound a little more relaxed than how some other earphones in this price range would make them sound. Mid frequencies have a recess for certain, but instruments in the upper mid region are more present than vocals. This makes the vocals sound a little more pushed back in the stage, giving your music a little more dimension. Despite being tuned this way, male vocals don't lose too much depth in their performance, and there is good separation here between instruments and vocals. Listening to Me and Mrs. Jones by Billy Paul, the strings and instruments don't lack in detail and excitement, and this track does carry its emotion over rather well, but there isn't as much detail in this track as Foreigners' I Want to Know What Love Is. The New Jersey Mass Choir seems to thin out and disappear slightly in the distance. I would have preferred a little more presence in their vocals. Lower frequencies is where these earphones like to claim their playing ground. There is significant body and extension here. They've managed to find a good balance of lower extension without making it over-exaggerated to drown out mid-frequencies. It's able to hit low frequencies but may not appeal to the bass heads out there. I was surprised to hear healthy low frequencies in older recordings like December 1963 by the Four Seasons. It can sound a bit anemic on some earphones, but these are tuned well enough to open older tunes up. Listening to something just like this by the Chainsmokers and Coldplay, there is a sub-low frequency underlying everything going on in this track. These earphones don't struggle playing that back at all, but don't come at you in an over-exaggerated manner. It is composed in its delivery and not in your face. But if you do want a little more exaggeration in your bassline, you can play around with the presets or even the manual EQ. I've tested these on the Soundpeats Classic mode because that's what you get out of the box. These do come with 9 separate EQ presets, which are Soundpeats Classic. I quite like how Soundpeats has tuned this preset. It's a natural sounding EQ compared to the others and is closer to a flat sounding setting. Bass Boost does as it says and cranks up the lower frequencies, making the bass and sub-bass frequencies a lot more exaggerated, but still manages to remain composed and not obnoxious. Bass reduction thins out the audio a bit but doesn't make the bass disappear completely. Electronic cranks up highs and lows and dips mid-range by quite a bit. Rock and roll cranks up treble and upper mids, making guitars more prominent. Folk seems to thin out the audio and seems to widen the stage a bit and become very shouty for vocals, and the bass becomes quite flat. Treble enhancement tweaks the highs while keeping the mids and bass flat. This could work for audiobooks or for hearing higher tones if you want a little more sharpness or detail in this range. Pop makes vocals come through clearer and can be an enjoyable preset to listen to if you listen to music from the 60s to 80s. And classical music sounds a little fuller compared to pop, with a little more kick in the bass region. Then you also get a custom EQ as well with 9 bands, which is terrific to see in a set of earphones in this price range. Taking time with this EQ will pay off in the long run if you like tweaking your music a bit, because you can fine tune the way these sound to a certain extent. So to sum up, when it comes to their build, these are absolutely beautifully made for the price range. I've never seen a set of earphones that has this much detail, at least the other ones that I've tested this year. I genuinely did think these were made out of leather when I first saw them, when I opened the box. The texture does help ensure that you won't drop it very easily, and the earphones are also very nicely made with that matte black finish. The case does have that laser etched logo as well as the earphones on the touch area, which is a very nice touch. These do seem very premium for their price for certain. The app doesn't seem too expansive when it comes to the features compared to a lot of other earphones I've reviewed, but in this specific price range, I'd say it's not bad. It's more or less at par. The one extra feature it does have is that the adaptive EQ, which tests your hearing and tweaks certain frequencies for you. I'd rather trust the manual EQ settings because you know the kind of sound you would prefer, so you're better off tweaking the sound through the manual EQ. The one thing I do miss on these earphones, which I think I did miss in the other Soundpeats earphones that I reviewed, is the in-ear detection. So it doesn't auto play and pause when you take your earphones off. I think I've just gotten so used to that with other earphones and headphones. Because if ever my wife comes to say something, I like to just pop off one earphone and the music pauses. With this, I didn't have that option, so I usually took off both or took off one or had to manually pause my phone. There is a bit of a learning curve with this, but I'm just being a little picky. When it comes to the noise cancellation, they claim a 25 dB noise reduction. Now, I wouldn't say that 25 dB is too much compared to what some other manufacturers are doing. I think they're doing 40 dB and 45 dB. But the combination of how well these isolate with the way they handle the active noise cancelling does make it seem like they do significantly better than just 25 dB. So I wouldn't say that it is as good as the ones that do 45 or 40 dB of noise reduction, but these are definitely more than good enough if you're listening to them at home, or if you're traveling with them, say on a flight or in the metro or on a train. These will work perfectly fine for, I think, anybody. Now when it comes to the sound, I think they're very diplomatic with the way they've been tuned. They are not offensive to anybody really, because they handle the highs well, they handle the mids pretty well, and there is a good amount of bass. Now the one lot of people I know that definitely won't like these are the bass heads, because it is not exaggerated bass to the extent where it gets obnoxious. It's definitely not offensive. It's not piercing in the highs. It's not too shouty in the mids. All in all, I'd say that these earphones would make for a very terrific first set of earphones. So if you're planning to get into the TWS world where you want something that's more convenient, you can just slip a case into your pocket and have wireless earphones. These I think would work great for a commuter. If you're going to work in the morning and evening and you just want to cancel out the world, this is that set of earphones that can cater to you towards cutting out the world and playing back audio without being offensive. There's one thing I have noticed, having being my second Soundpeats set of earphones to review. Soundpeats seems to have a slightly warmer tone to the way they deliver their audio. They're not metallic sounding, they're not brittle. It doesn't hurt the ear. So some other earphones I've reviewed, specifically in this price range, can tend to be a little too sharp, a little too sort of in your face, trying to accentuate detail by just accentuating the upper mids and the high frequencies. That isn't really detail, that isn't resolution. Soundpeats is being more true to their sound delivery, and I can really appreciate what they're doing. So would I recommend these to you? Well, considering they're not offensive sounding earphones, I think these would please most people in any age group really. So even if you want to gift these to somebody, it's a very safe set of earphones to pick up for them. These are perfect for casual listening. Now if you're an audiophile who's very particular about how things sound, these won't even work for casual listening, because there are certain nuances that you won't get out of these, but these are definitely perfect for being on the go. These are built well, they've got good features, they've got good functionality. The touch controls are programmed pretty well, so you don't always need to go into the app. They are fun to listen to music to and watch movies with. So I would recommend these to you if you are that person who's just getting into this and wants a casual listening set of earphones. So how much do these cost? Well, at the time of recording, these are being sold for $39.99, which in India should be around 32 to 3300 rupees. Now sadly they are not selling these earphones right now in India. In fact, they're in the process of trying to reopen channels that were closed during the pandemic, and it's a real pity that they aren't being sold in India, because there are a lot of people who became loyalists towards this brand. In fact, I first heard about them through a few viewers on my channel who were insisting that I review their products. But anyway, hopefully things will open up. But if you would like to buy these, I will leave the link down below that leads to the US site. I think they are right now selling in the US and Europe markets. But if you would like to see if they're available in your country, you can go to the website and click on the drop down list and see if they are shipping to you. So if you've stayed on for this long, I presume you do like the content on my channel, and if you would like to support it, I'm sure you know exactly how to. I hope I've helped you make some sort of purchase decision, but of course, thank you for tuning to Paul's POV for some sound advice. This video review was produced thanks to a review sample provided by Soundpeats, which is a working sample ready for sale in the global market. Soundpeats was not given any editorial control or early access of this review. They're watching at the same time you are, and no party was offered any compensation for the creation of this review. All thoughts and opinions belong to the creator of this channel.